So we're thankful to have our speaker today, David George Brooke, that gratitude guy. He's been a speaker, teacher, life coach, and best-selling author for over 25 years, former Nordstrom manager, and also managed in the corporate world for over 30 years. He's an author of a couple of books, the Brooks Daily Gratitude Journal, Happiness Starts with Gratitude, and Gratitude Nuggets to Chew On. Recently featured on New Day with Margaret Larson on King TV and Chat with Women on KIXI Radio. Over 400 gratitude videos are posted on YouTube. Thousands have seen his message. He's now considered a leading authority on gratitude, how living a life of gratitude can enhance and improve your life. Please help me welcome David George Brooke.
Thank you, Barry. And there's Christine. Christine, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel very blessed. I'm fortunate enough to do a couple of presentations a week, and I did leave the corporate world some time ago. So let me start off with a question here. How many people here, by a show of hands, have suffered a significant personal loss in your life? Thank you. As I said, I'm fortunate enough to talk to groups as small as 10 or 20 and up to 1,000 and maybe 1,500, and it's always about 75, 80, 90%. Somewhere in that range, people raise their hands. So I'd like to tell you about my significant personal loss. It was September 29th, 1998. It was a Tuesday. I woke up and I looked to my right, and my wife wasn't in bed. She normally would have been there about 6 in the morning. So I thought, that's strange. I wonder where Dana is. And so just then, my 4-year-old, Connor, he's about this high, comes in, where's Mom? I don't know, let's go find her. So we get out and we walk down the hallway, and Kyle, my 14-year-old, comes in. Same question, same answer, I don't know. So we look in a couple of bedrooms, and we look downstairs, and here's Dana down in front of the washer and dryer, face down. She's kind of curled over, and it doesn't look good. So we go running down there, I turn her over, and there's stuff coming out of her mouth, and it was just not a good situation. Connor starts crying. I told Kyle, go call the police, call fire, call everybody. And within a matter of a few minutes, there must have been 25 people in our house. They were doing all this. They had her out on the floor, and they had tubes and wires and those paddles. The only time I'd ever seen this before in my life was when I watched TV. Most surrealistic thing I'd ever seen. So but they're working on in that electric shock and all that kind of thing. And your body turns numb, I should say, because you don't know. Everything shuts down. You don't know if this is a real thing or it's a nightmare or whatever. But I will tell you one thing. For those of you that have been through something like this, time loses all measure. And this little short fire person comes over to me and she says, Mr. Brooke, we've been working on your wife for 45 minutes. We still don't have a heartbeat. Would you like us to continue? And even in the numb state that I was in, your brain still works to a certain degree, and I thought, 45 minutes without her heartbeat. I said, as I thought slowly, I'd never before in my life had to make a life and death decision for somebody. And I said, no, you can stop. And she was dead. She was 38 years old. And I remember over those next few days, having gone through something like this, again, the numbness wears off at some point, and you start to realize this is not a nightmare. This is actually happening. And people and friends and family came over and they brought food and all these neat things, and it was just so neat to have that kind of support. But after 2 or 3 days after that had worn off, I walked up this old deck we had by myself, and I kind of looked out to the sky, and I just kind of pinched my skin and realized, I'm just a guy, bone, skin, cartilage, just a person. How am I going to get through this? I wasn't sure I could. And I looked up and I just sort of stared up at the stars, or sky I should say rather. For the first time in my life I realized why people killed themselves. And I thought about it for a minute or two, and I thought about, wow, we live by Green Lake in Seattle, and the Aurora Bridge wasn't very far, far away. But then within about 5 minutes I made a decision, I'm not going to do that. Just not going to do it. Connor was 4, Kyle was 14, they need a dad, their mom's already gone. So I'm going to have to go forward on this. But what had made it really challenging for me, it wasn't just Dana. I asked about the significant losses in your life. My father had committed suicide when I was younger. He's a very prominent, very good attorney. I saw him in court many times. My mom had died of cancer. 2 of my best friends, the night we graduated from Queen Anne High School, no longer a school, died in a car accident. And it was just on and on and on. So by the time I got to the time where Dana died, I just kept thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I realized it really does come down to how you look at something. And having gone through this, to make it worse, Dana had been addicted to prescription pills. She got hooked on Vicodin and Oxycontin and all this junk that you read about. Barry mentioned I'd worked at Nordstrom. I met Dana at Nordstrom. I'd never seen somebody in handcuffs before, and I went in one day, and here she was. She'd been handcuffed for prescription fraud. She went into detox. She said, David, I've got a real problem. I didn't even know.